Hey guys, it's me, Margot. Welcome to the first video in my new kind of short series where I will be recreating all the places I've lived. So this is my real life, very first studio apartment. This is the first place I lived after first living in the dorms and then living in the sorority house. So I definitely wanted to be by myself. I had lived with way too many people for way too long. So I chose to live in a studio, and it wasn't the best studio. As you'll see as I continue building it, it's pretty drab. It was 495 square feet. I don't know if that's how big this one is exactly. It's been years since I've lived there, so I was kind of having a hard time remembering the layout. But that little entryway is actually supposed to be a hallway in the real place. It was a big building full of studio apartments, so mine was like the third one as you go down that hallway, but I didn't want to like make all these empty fake apartments. But so like right when you walked in, there was this huge closet that I'm creating right now. It's the biggest closet I've ever had. It was so huge. And it had these huge sliding doors that like slid around each other, and they were not installed very well, or they were not in there very well. They kept falling on me. So I had maintenance come and take them away, and I hung up curtains there instead. As you can kind of see, there's curtains up there. But yeah, I liked the closet. That was probably the only thing that I liked about this apartment, because overall I really didn't like this apartment at all. But I had a great closet and had lots of storage. But overall, it was really drab and dingy. When I moved in, it smelled like the person who lived there before me smoked 10 packs of cigarettes a day. It was embedded in everything. Everything smelled like cigarette smoke. And the bad thing was that this is a furnished apartment. All the furniture in it came with it. So I didn't really have a choice on what everything looked like, because, I was like, oh yeah, furnished is great because I don't have any furniture. And it was not good furniture. So not only was it small, but the furniture was bad, and the person before me was nasty, and everything smelled like smoke. Like the cabinets in the kitchen were like permeated with smoke smell, and the mattress was really gross. Ugh, I don't want to talk about it. It was gross. I tried to make it my own, and I tried to decorate it, and I like decorating and designing things. Obviously, I play Sims a lot, but nothing made that place feel like mine. So that really sucked. um, so I had to add on this kind of section. It's looking a lot bigger on here than it really was in real life, but I needed this angled wall for the bed because the bed was actually a Murphy bed. And for those of you that don't know what a Murphy bed is, it's one of the ones that flips up into the wall. And I believe in Sims 3 there were Murphy beds, or maybe it was Sims 2, but not here. So I just kind of put those little columns up there to make it look like a Murphy bed. But it was gross, and it had this like plastic accordion curtain thing that closed around the bed when it was up so that the bed would stay up, and the curtain smelled like cigarette smoke, and I couldn't clean it because once it was shut, the bed was in there. It was a mess, and I hated it, and I smelled cigarette smoke when I was in my bed, and I just hated this place so much. So that's why I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into it in the game either, because I hated it. It was so awkward. It was so hard to decorate. And at this point, you might be saying, hey, Margot, where are all the windows? That's a really good question, because there weren't any. There weren't any windows. The only source of light that I had in my apartment was that door right there, which wasn't even a fancy door like that. It was a sliding glass door. So that was terrible. The kitchen was teeny tiny. It was actually a half-size oven, which exists. They're half the size of a normal oven, and it's really hard to bake in. I like to bake. It's really hard to bake in a half-size oven because your baking sheet is about the width of the oven. The width of the oven is about the size of a normal baking sheet, and it does not convect properly, and it doesn't cook properly. So basically, it just burns the bottom of everything and doesn't cook the top. It was really frustrating. So I hated cooking in the kitchen. I hated being there. I hated this apartment. So around the fridge, there was like this weird half wall that like you could see over, but it went almost up to the ceiling, just like this wall. And then there was this weird like built-in island table that I kind of tried to create over there with a normal table. And you couldn't really sit in it because you'd be sitting like up next to the cabinet next to it, just like this kind of layout. It was ridiculous. It made no sense. And then on the other side of the wall, there was that desk, which was built in. And it was nice. It had good storage and stuff. But yeah, it was just not practical. So yeah, that's basically it. I kind of tried to give it some curb appeal by building kind of a little landscaped fenced-in area, which didn't actually exist in my apartment. It was a building full of other, units, obviously, but I wanted to give it some curb appeal so it didn't look stupid when I put it in the gallery. I don't know if you noticed, but I also built a little patio out back, and it did have a patio, but I shared it with my neighbor, so I never kept anything out there, and they were smokers, and so they were always sitting out there, and they had all their furniture angled toward my side, so if I ever went out there, they were like sitting out there looking at me, and it was really awkward, so I didn't have anything out there ever. Sometimes I would take chairs out there if I had people over, but people never wanted to come over because it was awkward and tiny. But yeah, I really didn't like this apartment. I lived there for not even a year. I moved in August and I leased out the last 3 months of my lease to someone else, and moved back with my parents for the summer after school ended because I was in college, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. I was a junior in college, and yeah, I basically mostly just wanted to save money because it was really expensive for how tiny it was. And yeah, that was my crappy apartment, and I hated it so much. So yeah, enough negativity. This was the first episode of my series of where I've lived. I haven't decided what to call the series yet, but there's more to come. So look forward to that. If you want to know when I post them, just subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you know. And stick around. Please subscribe, leave a comment, thumbs up. You know the drill. Thanks, guys. Bye.